Namo Amida Butsu. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whenever you are, in whichever of those realms of existence you are, whatever crazy mind states you're in, whatever messed up conditions you're in, or not, to all of the above, you are welcome to my channel. Today I just wanted to do a quick video because I realized in my last maybe few videos I didn't really give a clear cut explanation of what I do, as a Jodo Shinshu Buddhist in a succinct way, and sort of the real basics of that. So I wanted to do that, if I can, really quickly in this video, or not so quickly as the case may be. So first thing is, in order to really understand Jodo Shinshu Buddhism, you need to understand the basics of Buddhism, basic teachings of Buddhism. And so I'm not going to try to cover that for you here. I'm going to put some links in the video description of this video that are related to, are from a Jodo Shinshu source, but explain the basics of Buddhism and, Buddha nature and samsara and all that kind of stuff, and no self and emptiness and what all those things mean, because you need to really have a basic understanding of that to really understand Jodo Shinshu Buddhism. And so I'll put those links there. Also, you need to accept, that's really the first step is, you really need to believe that Buddhism in general is the supreme, superior, true teaching of all times and in all universes, basically. And therefore need to believe that Shakyamuni Buddha was the ultimate world teacher in Nirmanakaya form for our Saha world. So that's really the base, really basic starting point, is that you need to you need to understand Buddhism, basically the basics of Buddhism, and accept them as true, and Shakyamuni as the world teacher, the ultimate teacher of our sort of period of the Kalpa that we're in. And anyway, so and if you believe that, then the rest will follow from there, because ultimately, as Jodo Shinshu Buddhists, we believe that Shakyamuni Buddha, the main purpose that he came into this world, the Dharma masters teach, particularly Shinran Shonin and Renyo Shonin, the two main figures of our school, of the Jodo Shinshu school of Buddhism, taught that Shakyamuni, the main purpose that Shakyamuni entered the world as a Nirmanakaya Buddha, was eventually and ultimately to give the teachings about Amitabha Buddha and his Pure Land and his name. And further, Jodo Shinshu teaches that Shakyamuni actually himself was a Nirmanakaya manifestation of Amida Buddha. So, and further, that Amida Buddha is the ultimate, original, eternal, well, eternal is not a good word, but the ultimate original Buddha of all time, of all Buddhas as well. But I don't want to get ahead of myself here. But anyway, so if now if you are a Buddhist and you accept all that, and you accept the the basic teachings of Buddhism, and that Shakyamuni is the ultimate world teacher of our kalpa, and our time, and historical Buddha, and ultimate Buddha of our age, let's say, then the next thing you have to accept is that there's no way that you can achieve any of the 84,000 Dharma doors of Buddhism, self-powered Buddhism. There's no way for you to achieve or effectively practice any of the teachings or practices that Shakyamuni gave, the self-power practices, that is. And the reason for that is because we are humans born into this age, for the most part, and in general, we are, most human beings are ordinary, foolish beings, bambu, meaning that we have been transmigrating, quote unquote, or, in countless, innumerable rebirths for countless kalpas, mostly in the lower realms, and not accumulating any kind of merit that would allow us, merit or karmic ties or anything that would allow us to be able to practice any of the 84,000 self-powered Dharma doors, Dharma gates, Dharma practices. Nothing. We have accumulated no merit, and we are full of karmic evil and delusion and blind passions, and are completely driven by these, and have mostly been being reborn again over and over again in the lower realms of animals, ghosts, and hell beings, and probably the lower, even like the lower, and occasionally that maybe we were born in the higher realms above human, but mostly we've been human and below. And the human birth, our human birth, the other thing that is basic to Buddhist teachings is that human birth is very rare. Very rare. So we've mostly been in the lower realms for most of the vast majority of our incalculable rebirths. So we have zero merit that would allow us to practice any self-power teachings. We don't have access any longer because we live in the age of Mappo, which means we are at the tail end of the descending kalpa. We're in a descending kalpa, first of all. For the past 8 billion years, we've been in a descending kalpa, and the last since Shinran's time, at least, we have, definitely since Shinran's time, we have been in Mappo, the age of Mappo. So we are, and what that's referring to is the 5 periods since Shakyamuni parinirvana is when Shakyamuni appeared to die, which was somewhere around 876 before the Common Era, which would put us. So there's Shunran Shonin talked about, and other Dharma masters talked about there being 5 periods of the Dharma from the time Shakyamuni lived. or sorry, from the time of Shakyamuni's parinirvana, which would be each of those fifth, even those 500-year periods there'd be a decline in the effectiveness of and the ability of humans to be able to apply Shakyamuni's teachings, self-powered teachings. There'd be a decline in that over those 500-year periods since then. So and there's divided. The first two are the right Dharma age, or the first 500 years is the right Dharma age, and then I think the next 500 years after that is still the right Dharma age, but not as good, something like that. And then the next 1,000 years, or the next two 500-year periods, are the semblance Dharma age. So humans are able during those two 500-year periods to do certain practices, certain, I suppose, rituals, or some level of self-power teachings are kind of still there, but it's kind of, humans have lost their way and aren't really able to apply it, and they really have a distorted understanding of it, but there's still some semblance of it that can be, properly studied and properly practiced, and that sort of thing by humans. And this is all because humans are inept. This is all because of human incapacity has declined, not the Buddhist teachings. So what else? And then the last, so that's the first 2,000 years, and then after that so that's the first way. So that's the first, yeah. So that's that brings it into the time of. So just after that comes the last 500-year period, which is the beginning of Mappo. So it's actually, Mappo lasts from that point, after the first 2,000 years after Shakyamuni, that lasts from that point until 10,000 years. And it just continuously declines, but really starts dropping off rapidly once we reach Mappo. The virtue of humans, the capacity of humans, the societal decay, the recurrence of wars and famine and other horrible things, recurrence of wars, famine, increased immorality, increased societal decay, like I said, increased, just all the worst things you can imagine start happening during this age. So and we can see all that stuff coming now. It's all, we're any day now. Pandemic 2.0 is going to be upon us. Any day now, World War III is going to be upon us. You can see with the whole food chain, supply chain thing, the collapse of economies, the whole inflation thing. You can see it's coming. The world economic collapse, what else? The whole thing with the supply chains is totally screwed up. The whole food supply is totally screwed. So all that stuff is going to be happening. It's all here. And whether that was just, brought about by just the ineptitude of humans, the idiocy of humans, or on purpose according to certain agendas, or some combination thereof, it's going to be happening because it's Mappo. That's just what happens. And so anyway, so we're not now. That's the other thing you have to understand is about we are in the age of Mappo since the time of Shinran. Shinran was born into, and as was Honen, I believe, born into the age of Mappo, and the fifth they were born and taught during the fifth 500-year period. So we're now in the sixth 500-year period. So we're even in a worse age, if you like. Not that there's the sixth 500-year period is mentioned. I'm just saying that for as we're just discussing this. But anyway, so yeah, where are we at? In this, one of the things we have to accept is not only are we complete bombos, complete spiritual idiots that have no merit and just have karmic evil and just live, driven by blind passions and completely obscured to being able to see, perceive, or understand how reality actually is, and where we're full of greed, anger, and ignorance, or attachment and aversion, and delusion, and that there's no way we can practice. So in addition to just that fact of being ordinary, foolish, bamboo, spiritual idiots, we are born in the age of macho, which kind of that seals the fate of being able to do. If you're born into Mapo, humans have zero ability. Ordinary humans, that is, ordinary beings have zero ability to do any kind of self-power practice because we lack the merit and karmic ties therefore. But on the other hand, we have if we're born as a human, which is very rare occurrence, extremely rare in the extreme. It's unimaginably rare to be born as a human in samsara. Incredibly rare, and it's a good thing. It's the best. If you have to be born in samsara, which you'd have to, there's not an if on that actually, until you are a Buddha yourself, you have to be born in, you will be born in samsaric existence, born and reborn, die, and be reborn in countless existences in samsara until you are a Buddha. And the only way, while we're on that topic, then the only way, so we have to just accept that fact. So if we're a Buddhist and we accept Buddha is the ultimate supreme teacher and that Buddhism is the ultimate supreme teaching, and that the goal of Buddhism is to become a Buddha, to achieve Buddhahood or realize Buddha nature, then we also have to realize there's no way we can achieve that through self-power. There's no effective means, there's no way for us to effectively do that. We lack any ability or efficacy to do that. So the only way for us to become a Buddha is to rely on Amida Buddha for that. And Amida Buddha, in the form of Dharmakara Bodhisattva, made 48 vows in incredibly long time in the past. So like 10 kalpas ago, he fulfilled those 48 vows. And kalpas are so that's like 64 billion years or something like that, 70 billion years or something like that ago. That he achieved this. And when he was a bodhisattva, in the form of bodhisattva, he appeared in the form of he was a king, and then he took on, he became a home leaver and became a monk, and ultimately became the Bodhisattva Dharmakara, and made his vows. And then when he made his vows, he was able to go to all Buddhas and all Buddha lands to learn from them their teachings, so he could learn the ultimate best way to teach, to save beings, because that was his ultimate, out of great wisdom and great compassion. Like, he has the he wanted to save all beings, that a means by which all beings, including us evil, ordinary, foolish beings, and including incantikas, even people incapable of enlightenment, in that sense, incapable of enlightenment. That's a whole nother topic. But anyway, he wanted to do everything. So he learned from all these Buddhas all of these various means of all their teachings, and selected all the best teachings and came up with his. I can't remember if he did that after he did the 48 vows, or if he took and that's how he came upon the 48 vows. But I think it was afterwards he did learn from all the Buddhas. But in all his 48 vows, he stipulated that if that those 48 vows would not be fulfilled he would not become a Buddha. That wouldn't become a Buddha unless all those 48 vows were fulfilled. So it was like the ultimate bodhisattva vows. And one of those, one of those vows was the 18th vow, often associated kind of together with the 17th vow, but the 18th vow is the primal vow, or is the main vow that all of Jodo Shinshu teaching is based on. And that's if any beings sincerely sincerely and in total faith say the Buddha's name, say Amitabha's name either once or up to 10 times, then they will once this life they will attain this state of non-retrogression, and Amida Buddha will actually, and the way we attain the state of non-retrogression by doing that is Amitabha transfers his merit to us when we say his name. Actually, he's always transmitting his light, but anyway, I'm complicating it now. Just if anybody says his name in sincerely and in full, total, doubtless faith, then they will be, at the end of this life, they'll be brought to his Pure Land and immediately become a Buddha. That's the Jodo Shinshu teaching. I can't remember sorry, I do apologize. I can't remember the exact wording of the vow, but you can read it for yourself. I'll probably put it in the description of this video. And that's what we rely on. So, but there's a lot, having that faith is the greatest, one of our main teachers said that's the greatest difficulty of all difficulties. And the ability to have that faith has to come through Amida's light, Amida's mind, through Amida. The vow actually is, basically if anybody who entrusts to Amida, this is the basic vow. Anyone who entrusts to trusts completely and sincerely to Amida Buddha, wishes to be born in his land, and says his name either one or up to 10 times. It doesn't matter the amount, as long as you're saying it in faith and gratitude and in homage to Amida Buddha, and take refuge in Amida Buddha, in total faith, then at the end of this life, that's closer to what the vow actually says. Then at the end of this life, you will go to his Pure Land and immediately become a Buddha. That's the vow. Now, so how do we get to the point where we have this ultimate sincere faith without any doubt in Amida Buddha, in his vow, in his light, in his power, in his Pure Land, and in his ability to bring you to his Pure Land? How do we have that? How do we get to that point? Because we're Bamba, we're idiots. Our minds are full, our monkey minds are full of doubt, full of questioning, full of confusion, full of insecurities. We can't be that secure about anything. Can't be doubtless. It's very hard for us to have security or doubt. Not have doubt about anything. Like that's a great difficulty. So Amida Buddha has also provided the means for that through his power. So for us to do that, for us to our only practice in Jodo Shinshu is listening deeply to the Dharma. Now, that's a whole big topic in itself, but in order to do that, there's some things we need to do. We need to find and work with a good teacher of the Dharma, which is somebody that transmits the Dharma as it is, as it was given by Shinran Shonin and Renyo Shonin. Not create their own interpretations, but a good teacher transmits it that way. Same goes for a Sangha that helps the transmission of the Dharma in that same way, as taught by Shinran Shonin and Renyo Shonin. And also then you engage with that good teacher of the Dharma in Dharma discussion. Now, the first thing you have to truly come to understand the basic teachings of Jodo Shinshu. That's the first kind of thing you need to do in that kind of working with good teacher and Dharma discussion and working with the Sangha, if you can find a Sangha, or however directly or loosely you can. But anyway, the first thing that you need to do is understand the basic teachings of Jodo Shinshu, and then you need to also start dealing with all of your doubts and questions about that, and anything that would block or interfere with you being able to entrust to Amida Buddha. Or anything that would mean that you, in one way or another, didn't have trust or faith in any of the basic teachings, of Jodo Shinshu, or the primal vow. Like, if there's anything, you just have to deal with all of those. You have to bring all those questions up, all those doubts up, from every corner of your mind as best you can, and you have to deeply reflect sometimes to do that. Which is also part of deep listening, as best you can. And this is all as best you can. We operate within the karmic limits, our karmic limits. We understand we're bamboo, so we try to do the best we can with this within the limits of our karma, relying on Amida Buddha the whole time, knowing that it's Amida Buddha's working that is going to bring us there eventually. So all this stuff, even listening deeply, even working with a good teacher, that's all going to be guided and empowered and moved, and all your doubts and questions and all your doubts, resolved, all your questions answered, and any blockages cleared by Amida Buddha. And it's Amida Buddha that's going to guide you to a good teacher, and it's Amida Buddha that's going to help you with all of that. It's going to enable you to even deeply listen. It's going to be Amida Buddha doing that, helping you do that. So that's the basics of what you need to do is work with a good teacher who transmits the Dharma as it is, as Shinran and Renyo Shonin's gave it, and you need to listen deeply to the Dharma, and that involves a lot of things. There's a lot more I could say about that. What deeply listening? It's reading the Dharma, it's reading the books, it's discussing with a good teacher, it's having discussions with a Sangha, it's deeply reflecting on the Dharma. There's a lot of things that deep listening involves. that you need to be doing, all enabled by and all empowered by Amida Buddha to do it. And you just entrust to Amida as best you can until you can fully entrust to him. You wish to be born in his land. That kind of comes more naturally, I think, as you're doing this. The more you do it, the more you come to understand the teaching, and Amida gives you more and more of his light, and you're more and more open. That's the thing. By doing deep listening, we are opened to Amida's Dharma. Amida opens us. We don't do the opening. Amida opens us to his light, his Dharma, his teaching, the truth of it, to faith. That's how Amida works, is through the deep listening process. And saying Nembutsu, that's the key thing, is entrust to Amida, wish to be born in his land, and say his name. And you say his name no matter what, because his name contains everything, all virtues, all virtues, everything. It contains all Dharma, all everything. So you say his name, whether it's you say it, you don't worry about whether it's, you have faith or not, or whether you just say it. Even if it's in a self-powered way, you still want to be saying Nembutsu. Eventually you'll realize you're kind of doing it naturally. You're not doing it, you're doing it less and less in that intentional kind of self-powered calculating way. You're actually just spontaneously saying it in gratitude, and more, and spontaneously in refuge, and spontaneously in homage, and spontaneously in more and more. So just say the name anyway. That's part of how Amida does his work. That's how we respond to the call of Amida. That's how this happens. So you say it anyway. So those are the basic things that you need to do. I've still kind of done it in a rambling way. I tried to do it in a somewhat systematic kind of summary way, but those are some of the real basic things that I do, and I'm currently doing, and for particularly since last autumn, I should say, I have been, end of the summer, beginning of autumn, I have been listening deeply in a way that I have never done so before, through Amida's power, and have more faith and more entrusting and more confidence and conviction in the Amida Dharma and Jodo Shinshu than I ever have, and less questioning and less doubts and less. And so the process has been working, and believe me, if you saw the state of me just last year, to where Amida has brought me, you wouldn't even believe it. You couldn't even you'd be like, is this the same kind of person? So if you really knew what it looked like, what my internally and externally, it does work, and this is the first time I've been actually able to do in all the 15 years that I've been on the Jodo Shinshu path off and on. This is the first time that I've really done this the way you're meant to be doing it. I did it somewhat in other, working with Paul Roberts and Joshua Adrian Curlia Sensei and the Miniji Sangha and other, and the True Shin Buddhism email group and stuff. I did to a certain extent, but nothing, I did certain things, and to a certain extent did this, but not in the way I've done it the past year. And I like to say, how the 12-step groups, they say it works if you work it. Well, in Jodo Shinshu, I'd like to say that it works because Amida works it. It's all Amida doing. It's all Amida's power. It's all Amida's doing. We just kind of show up. We just kind of show up and do what we're, you know, what the teachings are, and we're enabled to do. We don't even do that of our own power. We're enabled to do it by Amida. But the job gets done through that, through deep listening. So anyway, that's it. Talk to you again. Namo Amida Butsu.